Hello. We are getting to the second policy deadline, and so in E12 in particular, what that looks like is I sit for 3 hours, 3 days a week, and go bill after bill after bill, and pretty soon they all blend together and you think, what are we really doing? But something stood out today that I want to bring to your attention. Sandy Lewandowski, who was a superintendent of the year just a couple of years ago, is the superintendent of Intermediate School District 287. Intermediate School District 287 serves the West Metro school districts, and when a student is beyond a level 4 special ed student, so it's his or her needs are so great that they can't possibly be fulfilled within the school district that they live within, we refer those students to the intermediate district. Well, our intermediate district has a caseload of students that have such serious challenges and disabilities that we put our staff in and themselves and others in grave physical danger many times. And so, for example, I toured the Bren Road facility, and I can tell you that doors were locked, there were police there. They talked about, students would throw chairs, kick, bite the staff. And Superintendent Lewandowski told us a story today of a student, a young woman who took several people to restrain her, and she was still so violent that the police chief had those who were trying to restrain her had to leave in order to protect themselves, and ultimately an ambulance came and took this student to the hospital. But Superintendent Lewandowski said that that student will be back, could be back tomorrow, could be back in 2 days, and that student is not alone. And another teacher came and shared how she was bit savagely recently. Another teacher shared how her concussions were so severe that she still has anxiety, memory lapses. It was a very troubling and unsettling hearing. And Ms. Lewandowski said that the federal and state laws around special education require our public schools to take these challenging students. And so number one, the bill before us was to provide additional funding for training for staff members who deal with these types of students. But then the broader conversation among the table was we have to do something about the fact that we are not providing those with severe mental health challenges with the supports they need. And the answer can't possibly be to infuse them into the public school system, which core mission is to educate our children. There is no education happening when all we're doing is protecting people from themselves and for, keeping our teachers and our staff safe. So people were moved to tears at the testimony, and I pledged that it would become my number one priority in the E12 budget is to make sure that they have what they need to keep staff and students safe. So that was a very sad story, but just wanted to share with you a glimpse of what it's like to sit in committee. The last thing I'll mention is we just left higher education, and I presented a bill regarding the disparities about low-income students who don't end up completing college and going on and getting a great job. And so the bill that I presented provided more resources to organizations like College Possible, TRIO, the Wallen Foundation, to have a lot more power in their ability to spread their great work, because when students are working with either of those 3 nonprofits, they graduate on time with less debt, and they have jobs. And so the bill, and Beth, who does a great job writing my e-newsletter, will have a link that will show you the bill in case you'd like to read it, but it clearly outlines what the outcomes must be in order to get this grant funding, what we expect them to report back on, who we're trying to serve, because Governor Dayton put forward $20 million in the higher ed section of his disparity request. And this is how we recommend spending a good chunk of that money. So there's a lot more to talk about, but as I've said before, you have to read the newsletter to get the rest of it. So thanks very much for tuning in. And I also just want you to know that Trevor Roy is the one who takes these videos, and he does a great job too, so we thank him.